Hey guys, it's Maymay, and today we are covering more in our Stamping Basics series, and this is my favorite tools for beginner card makers. And here's the thing, this is going to be a very extensive list, but you can choose what you want. And what I'm going to say to you as we go along, like I'm going to say, this is something I think you should invest in. This is something you could invest in. Like I'm going to tell you the things I think you will need, and then the things I think that'll make your life easier as a card maker. Now I'm going to try not to ramble. I probably will. This will probably be a long video. I apologize, but there's a lot to go through. And this should hopefully be a good informational tool for you guys that are starting out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with some of the big stuff first because I need to have some space. So as a card maker, one of the very first things I would invest in is a scoring tool. You have options. This little guy is only going to go up to 6 3/4 of an inch this way, okay, for scoring. This guy is going to go to 12 inches. If you are going to consider yourself a paper crafter, meaning you're going to make cards and 3D projects and boxes and mini albums and things like that, go ahead and invest in the bigger one. And when I say invest, these are like, I think $20, maybe even a little less. I'm not exactly sure. Speaking of that, I'm going to put a list of everything in the description below with links where you can find these either on my store or elsewhere if we don't carry them, okay? So this is great if you're a paper crafter, 3D crafter, anything like that. If you're only going to make cards, this is a great option because typically your score mark is going to fall within the 6 3/4 space. And also, if you're going to be a person who likes to travel and scrap or crop or card make, this is a great one because you can just throw it in your bag and it's super thin and super little, you know, to go with you. You have to decide what your need is. For me, I like having them both because this one I keep right beside my desk where it's handy. I can reach it with my hand. I just put it away so I can grab it when I want to make a card. And this one I keep right underneath my desk so it's also in hand's reach and I can get to it when I want to make something bigger like a purse or a mini album or something like that. So that is two. Those are my first two. You just have to decide on that. Now, along those same lines, and I'm going to dig into my tools a little bit, are your scoring tools. I'm going to show you two that I really love, and they are these guys, and they work hand in hand for me, okay? This is a dual-ended embossing tool. It has a round bead on either end, a chubbier bead, and then a little tiny bead here. I love to use this chubbier bead when I score. Reason is it just lands so well in this spot and the chubbier end does not cut my paper when I score. The thinner end will cut, and the way I know is because it will land inside of those grooves. See how I can't wiggle it out of that groove where this one won't sit in that groove? I can slide it. I use this end for my scoring. I never use these guys. I never even take these out. It just sits there forever and I score with this. Now I crease my folds with this guy. I love the way it fits in my hand. It's ergonomic, it's inexpensive, and whenever I need to fold paper, I run this way and crease it. You can crease with this end if you're more comfortable. You can even open letters with this. I think this is awesome. I love using it. It is a little pointy, so I don't like to score with it because I tend to get heavy-handed and cut with this. That's why I use this little guy. I love these two tools. I love all these tools I'm showing you today. So I'll probably say I love these 1,000 times. Next is probably the most important tool is your paper trimmer. Now I have lots of paper trimmers, and here's what I have discovered over the years. You can spend a lot of money on a paper trimmer and still get a really bad paper trimmer. You really can. I have spent lots of money on things. I have one that's like $150 paper trimmer and I don't get very great cuts with it, etc. Okay. This is the Cricut portable trimmer. This is made by Cricut. It is sold on their website. It is super duper affordable. If you are just starting out, you literally can get this trimmer sometimes for like $8 shipped to your house. They will put them on sale on the website. Then you can use your Cricut Access plus the coupon code that is mine, that is Maymay Made It, to get 15% off and free shipping. And it's crazy how inexpensive this trimmer is. I love it. Now this trimmer has just a razor blade type cutter. It's not a rotary blade, but it works perfect. And I have lots of tips and tricks for using this guy to get the best out of it. In my videos, I'll show you, setting your blade, pushing up and pulling down. There's lots of different ways to use this. You can also get the blade that is a scoring tool. I never use this as my scoring tool. I think it's just how my brain works. Like, I score with this tool, I cut with this tool. I kind of do that. But if you like 2-in-1 tools, go ahead and pick up the scoring blade for this too. And that way, you use one blade to cut and one blade to score, and you do away with those other tools I showed you that were the scoring tools and embossing tools and all that good stuff, because you have it built in. But I like this guy just for cutting. Now, if you're not going to use this particular one, if you're looking for a good trimmer, here's what you have to look for. This is the most important thing. This blade carrier housing has to be sturdy enough not to wiggle. I've had lots of trimmers. You can watch lots of videos on my channel where I've talked about them. If this guy is weak and flimsy, you're going to get a crooked cut every time. There's nothing you can do about it. You won't be able to keep it straight. You won't be able to keep a good motion when you're going back and forth. You're going to get even some waves in your cut. That's what I think Cricut did so well with this, was doing this sturdy. It's still, an acrylic arm, but it is nice and sturdy. I love that about this. I also like that we have a ruler on this blade as well as a ruler on the guide at the top. So if you want to cut at a specific spot in the middle of a page, you can see through. You've got little markings to help you line it up, and you can use this as well. I love that little extra something. The other thing I love about this one, and you might not can see it on screen, but there's a grid in here. So a lot of times when I'm trying to line up a piece of paper, if I want to get it on the 3-inch mark, I not only take it to the 3-inch, but I go ahead and make sure I'm lined up on this line too, so I know I'm going to get a nice straight cut. Sometimes the papers you start with aren't cut perfectly straight. They're cut by machine or whatever, and they might be slightly off. But if you line that paper up down this easy to read grid before you cut, you're going to get a better cut. Another little tip, love this guy. Super inexpensive. And again, I'm going to link stuff below. Okay, the next thing I think you really have to have is a good ruler. This is the Tim Holtz ruler. I think it does a great job. It's great for measuring, for cutting with a blade knife, anything like that. But one of my favorite things is you can see through this one, and I'm going to need to get something to show you that. You can see through this ruler, so you can use it to help you line things up even in the middle, and also it has a centering spot on it. So I think this ruler is great for card makers. If you want to center something, you can use this 0 to help you do that. If you want to line up, and I'm going to show you this in a future video, if you want to get your mats lined up just right, because you can see through this ruler, you can use it as a guide to maybe lay it on the edge of your paper at the 1/8 mark, because I'm looking through the ruler, and then put my mat right up against it and know I'll get it nice and straight. Lots of ways to use this ruler. It is big and bulky and easy to read. Look how big those numbers are. We love that, right? So this is a great one. The Tim Holtz ruler. That's the one I literally say you should pick up as a new card maker. Along those same lines, let's try to do all this as I go. So I told you that this has this metal edge on it. I think you need a good knife blade. Now, I've been using the pen blade, and I like it, except you have to kind of get the learning curve on this one, because these blades are like surgical steel, not light, they are surgical steel, and I can get a little wiggly with it, so I try not to be too forceful. Let me cut a piece away and show you what I mean. It's better on these guys to use less pressure and more passes than to use a lot of pressure, because let me see if that cut through. Mine is pretty dull. I've used it a lot. I'll let you see when there it goes. So see how I just use less pressure but more passes? I get a much straighter cut that way. And you might think, well, I don't really need one of these guys because I'm never going to use it for anything. But I find that I use this a lot in my card making. These just kind of a blade knife. I'll show you what I used to use. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, this is the one I used to reach for all the time. You guys probably recognize this one from videos. And I liked it. But I really like that this one retracts. I can throw it in my bag. I don't have to worry about it. And they come in a 3-pack. But this is the one I really lean to. The 11 with the yellow. I don't know why. I just do. So a good razor knife or blade knife so you can cut things where you need to willy-nilly. All right, so we got that one covered. The next thing good card makers or beginner card makers need is paper. Now, I'm obviously going to suggest this one because this is like my favorite. There are other ones too. What I did on my website is if you go to maymaymadeit.com, in the menu bar where it says shop, if you hover over the word shop and let the menu drop down, at the bottom you'll see a category called Maymay's Fave Maymay's Fave Card Making Supplies. I linked everything we carry in our store in that collection. So if there's something for card making you want to see that you know I love, that's where you can kind of start. It's a beginner set. So cardstock. We've talked about this in the past. I think I've done a pretty good explanation of it, but here's the deal. When you're making card bases, you want to stay between 80 and 110 pounds for your bases, okay? When layering, you want to stay between 65 and 80 pounds for layering. Now, this is a guideline. There's no hard and fast rules in card making. If you make a card and send it to someone, they're not going to go, oh, they used the wrong card base, or they used too heavy of a base. They're not going to notice. It's just a way we like to think about it. Use your heavier stock for your base, your lighter stock to layer. I think that makes perfect sense when you think of it like that. This particular pack happens to have 10 of 3 colors. So you get white in 110 pound and you get black and craft in 80 pound. And when I say that, the colors are actually Alabaster, Lunch Bag, and Raven. These are Brutus Monroe, Christopher Allen's Brutus Monroe's papers, cardstocks, and he made this set especially for me, and I love it. Very affordable, very easy to use, and you could use this as bases or layering weight because the black and the craft color are 80 pound. This is just one example. There are so many good papers, and I for card bases and things, I put those in that collection for you. And I will probably do another video on paper alone because I've gotten so many good questions about paper, so I'll do that for you guys. Now let's talk about adhesives, and anyone who knows me knows this is my favorite liquid adhesive. I have tried them all. I promise you I have tried them. I'm not going to name names. There's no sense in that, but I've tried every liquid glue out there, and when this was introduced to me for the first time, I didn't believe it either, and I waited for about 6 months before I invested in it because it feels like an investment until you have it, and then you're like, how to ever craft without it? So to save yourself some heartache and save yourself some time, just get this glue. I'm just going to tell you that's how I feel about it, and I would tell everybody that. It is amazing. There is no glitter in it. Even though it's called Art Glitter Glue, there is no glitter in it. And the one that I carry in my store is the Dries Clear and the Dries Matte. It's all in the same, okay? This is not one that dries shiny. It dries matte, so it dries virtually invisible, okay? Awesome glue. You can get a fine metal tip to go on the top. You can get it in different sizes. You can get refill bottles. We carry just about everything that has to do with this glue. It's amazing. That's my liquid glue of choice. So the other adhesive I think you need is a dry sticky adhesive. This is really good for folks that don't care too much for wet glue and want something else as an option. I've used a lot of different ones, and this is my favorite. I get this from my friend Jamie at Craft Chameleon. That's where we get these from. They don't have a name brand. We just call them sticky tape, but they're amazing. It comes in 4 sizes in our store. We have like an 1/8 of an inch size, which is the 5 mil. We have this, which is about like 1/4 of an inch, and it's called 8 mil. And then we have this that's called 20 mil, which is about 3/4 of an inch. And it also comes in sheet form. Now, I love the sticky sheets for mini albums. It's awesome for that. But for card making, I lean to this 8 mil a lot. I typically use it more than anything in my card making. It is a hand tearing tape. You don't have to have scissors for this. I had to find the end. You don't have to have scissors for this. I'll show you. This piece of paper is going to get a workout today. I'm going to stick this down to the page, and then I can tear it with my hand. So I did that, and it left it here. And then it leaves behind the tape with the little backer on it right where you want it. So that's the sticky tape that I use. I also love foam squares. Let me show you my options on that. Well, I love foam adhesive in lots of different ways. So these are the two these are my like go-tos. I love these so much. They come in this little pack. You get 217 pieces each pack. They come in white. They come in black. I love it. You get little tiny ones and big ones in the packs, and they look like this in real life. I just grabbed some out of my drawer. So here's the white one. Here's the black one. I love these guys, okay? These are easy to use. You just literally take one off of the piece, put it onto your paper, and it's ready to go. So that is those guys. Now the other kind that I like is this one here, and I use this one a lot, but I haven't used it a lot in videos because when I use it, all the questions I get is where can I find it, and I wasn't able to find it for you guys. But now I have it in my store now for you guys, so you can get it from me. And in the past, I've tried to link different places and it'll end up being not the same stuff that I use, and that was the problem. So I wanted to make sure I was giving you exactly the same that I use. This guy is a much bigger roll when you purchase it. Like, I've used this for probably a year. I've been using this one. But what I love about it is it's very thin. You can see it's a thin product. You can double it if you want it to be thicker, and you can put it right onto your project. It's perfect for shaker cards. It's perfect for anything. I use this all the time. You can make your own. You can see here I have pieces stuck here. This means I want to use this the next time. Of course, that one stuck down real good. But if you stick them on here, you can usually pull them back off and use them again. So that is that. That is Scotch foam adhesive. Is that all of my foam? I think that is. Now, while we have this here, I want to show you another tool that is invaluable in my beginning or any card making, and it's this guy. We call him the pokey tool. He's actually the Kaiser die release tool. I love it so much because here's what I use it for. Once I put that sticky tape down and it's got that piece to remove, oh, it makes your life so much easier removing these pieces with this little pokey tool. Even on your foam squares, it helps you to get those little pieces off. It's awesome. I just stuck that one right in the tape, but I got it. I love it for that. But I also love it for piercing. So let's say I wanted to make a hole to put a brad or a gem of some sort that needed a little hole, or run some baker's twine through or anything like that. This works great for that. So this tool, absolutely. This one and my embossing tool are always near my hands. I never get rid of these. These two right here stay beside me all the time. Love them. It also has a little spatula on the end, which is awesome if you need help holding something in place. And I use this end for holding things too. I love it. This is another one of my must-haves. All right, let's look in the little container. Here's something. Scissors. Now, I personally think you have to have a good pair of fussy cutting scissors because there's going to be times when you want to fussy cut something. I love these Cutter Bee scissors. They come with a little cover on them, but I never, ever can find one. I thought I just found one. I always lose them. I tried to find one in my little container, but I always lose the little covers. But they're beautiful scissors. I love them. They work well in your hand. And if you're a lefty or a righty, they work both ways, which is awesome. And these are perfect for just when you need to cut out a little stamped shape or cut something away. I love to have these kind of scissors. Now, I'm showing you this for the beginner crafter, right? I would definitely put these in my stash. But you can also invest in the Tim Holtz shears, which are the kind of step up, and they have the Teflon blade. You can also consider those, and he now came out with a mini snip, and they're awesome too. So think about those as well. Now then, I'm looking into my stash here. All right, some other card making things or tools I like to have are pins like this, and I think I have another one laying here. I took it out of here. These pins come in different colors. We have them actually in 4 colors. No, I think more than 4 colors now. We have them in black and red, white, gold, silver. Oh, here we go. Yeah, black, red, gold, white, and silver. Now, you might be thinking, what do I need pins for in card making? Well, I'm a person who likes to do stitch lines or swirls, or if I do a stamp and I want to put highlights on maybe a little critter's eyes or something like that. These are my go-to colors, my go-to pins. The silver and gold are perfect for all your holiday cards of any kind. The gold in the fall is incredible, and I like to do like 3 little dots in different places, and these pins are perfect for that. I call these beginner stamper needs. I think they are. If you don't get these, you need to pick up the white, and anybody who watches any card maker video just about will agree that you need to pick up a white pen, and I like these. So there is that, and let's see what else is in my little box. I have a box of goodies. Oh my goodness, reverse tweezers. I was on the fence about these for a long time, but here's why. I struggle getting past the learning curve of these. What makes them reverse is that when you squeeze them, they open, and when you release them, they close. And I struggle with that because when you're used to using tweezers, it's hard to get used to that motion. But here's what I love about them. They basically become another set of fingers for you, or an extra hand, because you can put something in them and it will hold it for you while you're doing something else. And if you're tying a bow, this is amazing. You tie your knot, you clip this onto the bow and release it, and it holds that knot in place while you do the loops. These guys are awesome. Also, if you use the fine metal tip on your art glitter glue, if it ever gets a clog, I just put these down in there and grab it and pull it out, and this is perfect for that. I also like that this has a little safety piece on the tip because it's very, very sharp. So awesome. These are by EK Success. These are EK tools. Love reverse tweezers. Now then, let's talk a little bit of stamping. I think that's what I have left here, stamping. So you don't have to be a stamper to be a card maker, but I find that card making and stamping go hand in hand. So if I were starting out a beginner card maker right now, this is important because I've gone through every kind of block, every kind of positioner, everything you can imagine over the years. And if I were starting today, I want to show you what I would purchase. I would purchase either this set or this set of blocks. And here's why. I think they've kind of taken the guesswork out for you, especially this set. So this set of blocks is one that's made with handles on the side. I think these are awesome little tools where you can kind of just stamp by holding the edges. You can stamp this way if you want to. They have a nice full-size grid, and they're really thin and they don't take up much space. And I find myself reaching for these a lot. I love them. And I think the biggest thing I like is, as a beginner, this kit itself comes with the 1 inch that I'm holding in my hand, a size up. I'll show you the next size because I have my jar still on it. My stamp is still on there. So that's the next size. And it also comes with a position and press block. This one is perfect for beginner. Let me show you what the position and press does. I brought that in here to show you. Now this is the bigger position and press. There is one inside of here that you can see right there. You see the feet on it. But what happens is this one has these little rubber feet, okay? So you put your stamp on it and you sit it down where you want it, and then you press it and you get your image without smearing it by, positioning it where you want it to go. It doesn't hit the paper till you press. So I love that this set comes with all of those in here. It's a great value, and you pretty much wouldn't run into a stamp that won't fit unless you're doing like some 6x6 backgrounds or something like that. So a good set of blocks. Now you're gonna find that on my favorite things for card making, I added my Misties, and the reason I did is this. If you can afford to invest in a Misty from the get-go, this is a Misty. It's a stamp positioning tool. There's videos on my channel about how to use this, and I've used it a bunch of times. If you can afford to invest in this and not start out with something like this, then do that first and just get that out of the way, because you will not go wrong with one of these. You won't be sad about it. You won't be upset about it. You will love it. You will use it like crazy, okay? So if you can't afford this, because these guys are expensive, go this route till you can afford to add this to your collection. And if you're just starting out, you don't want to necessarily, spend a whole bunch of money thinking, I don't know how long I'll do card making. This is a great way to go. Now, not to say this is not a great way to go. These are blocks, and they have grids on them, and they are just acrylic blocks where things stick to them, where your stamps will stick to them. And this is a neat little all-inclusive set. You get 4 blocks. You get a 1x1, a 2x2, a 3x3, and this is a 6.5x2 for borders and bigger stamps. Another great option. So that is for blocks. Now for inking stamps, in my opinion, these are the two to start with, okay? Your VersaFine Onyx Black is perfect to start with because you can do your sentiment stamps with it. You can watercolor with it. You cannot alcohol marker with it. But if you're a beginner card maker, you're probably not into alcohol markers just yet. We're going to assume that. So this is a great one to get you started. You won't be sad about this one. It inks beautifully. It's nice and full and clear. It's beautiful. VersaFine Onyx Black. Now this guy is Distress Ink Vintage Photo. It is not the oxide. It's the regular old Distress Ink. What I love about this one is if you like the distressed edges on your card, if you like to ink the edges, you're going to want this guy in your stash. If you start with these two, you can go a long way, okay? Now there's plenty more inks where that came from. You can get as detailed as you want. You can just keep right on going. If you go to all the trouble to make these cards, and maybe you're a beginner and you make cards and you don't really know what you're going to do with them just yet, you've got the bug and you want to make them, maybe considering getting these little self-sealing bags. What these bags do is they have a little self-sealing back. You've seen these before. They fit an A2 size card. You slide that in the envelope inside, seal it up, and it's protected in a little bag, and you can either use it later or you can use it as a gift because you've made these little cute little cards in bags. I think if you're going to have them just kind of sitting around or waiting till next time, this is a great option to keep them protected. This is not necessity. This is just something I thought, you know what? If I were beginning and making a whole bunch of cards, I wish I would have known about these back then because they're beautiful to store your cards in. One more thing I almost forgot, which I think is super important. This is the quick stick. What is so cool about this tool is that it has this little end. Let me get a little bit of it fed up for you. That lets a little bit of this kind of sticky, to tell you the truth, what it reminds me of is the stuff you use to hang posters, like poster putty. It feels like what's inside of here. I'm trying not to get too much out. I always do less is more with this because it will feed out too much if I'm not careful. So I'm just, there it goes. Here it comes. I like to wait for a second. But this little nib on the end of this guy will pick up little tiny things for you. So I don't have any little tiny. Let me just tear a piece of this off. So let's say I had a little tiny piece of something. I can use this little nib to pick it up and move it around and then place it where I want to glue it. The other cool thing is the end of this comes out, so I can use this to hold my piece in place and release the little sticky part, right? It has a pointy end, and then it has kind of a flat end as well. And I like to store the pointy end on the inside. It also has these little holes in the end of the handle here that is really good if you want to use it for curling paper or something like that. I really like that. So this guy's called the Quick Stick. It's amazing. You'll want to have this in your stash. That is it, guys. That is my beginner card making and slightly beginner stamper video for tools that I like to use. Be sure to keep an eye on that little menu drop down that I made called Maymay's Fave Card Making Supplies. I'll probably add to that as things change, but I've been making cards now since about 2011, and this is kind of, I feel like I'm in my groove and I kind of know what tools I really like for card making. So I think that's pretty good about what I shared you today. I think I gave you a lot of things to think about. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments below, and I love to help you guys with card making questions because I want everybody making cards. Thanks so much for watching. This series is going to continue. I think we have a few more videos to go in this series, the card making series, so just hang out and we'll see where it takes us. Thanks so much for watching today, guys. Talk to you again real soon. Bye-bye.